It's so nice to finally talk about a Colts win 27-13 over the Carolina Panthers yesterday in Charlotte. Let's bring in our Wish TV Colts insider, Kevin Bowen. Kevin, it feels good to have smiles on our faces. What excites you the most about this win from yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the three-game losing streak ends, and I thought the Colts' best players showed up, and I kind of found it fitting it was against Frank Reich. And when you think about it, a lot of guys were out yesterday. The Colts were really probably the most banged up they've been all season. Obviously a backup quarterback, no Zaire Franklin, Grover Stewart, Braden Smith. The list could go on. And when you look at Kenny Moore, you look at DeForest Buckner, you look at Matt Gay, and yes, their kicker is one of their best players. Even early on, I thought Jonathan Taylor, Michael Pittman staying in the game after a big hit, delivering for this football team. I thought overall their best players delivered when they needed it, try to avoid that four-game losing streak.
Snapping a three-game losing streak and snapping a curse that the defense have, giving up 30 or more points in 3 straight games, thanks in large part to cornerback Kenny Moore, who had a phenomenal history-making day against the Panthers. 2 pick sixes. Kevin, how impressive was Kenny Moore yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, frankly, this is one of the greatest games a Colts defender has ever had. I mean, you go back to the Baltimore Colts, and I think what he did yesterday could stand up to anything that has been seen in the history of this franchise. And, Angela, I thought the timeliness of the pick sixes. I mean, you see the first half one here. That was at a point in the game where Carolina, I think, had a little bit of momentum. They could have made that a one-score game at halftime. And then, really, I thought this was the back-breaking one. Again, Carolina starting to get back in the game. The Colts were leaking a little bit of oil. If they go in and score there, it could be 2017, it could be 2013, it could be a one-possession game, and Kenny closes the door. And it's on a day when your offense really struggled to score. So Kenny Moore, such an instinctual guy. It's a great, great story. Admittedly, he handled last season poorly, kind of public with his contract talks. Outstanding effort from him really all season long, and certainly yesterday.
Moore said that in a podcast that the biggest jolt of energy he gets is getting an interception. He had 2 +2 scores with 4 of his 6 sisters in attendance. He said that he needs his twin sister there at all the games because he always does something spectacular when she's there.
Got to get the passport ready for Germany.
Exactly. Kevin, with this breaking of the terrible struggles that the defense has been having, how much confidence should this give the Colts defense moving forward?
Yeah, I think you're going to have to string a few of these together. Carolina's offense is a rookie quarterback. I did think they did a nice job of kind of dictating to Bryce Young and not letting him get into any sort of rhythm. Too often, I think we've seen in recent years, mediocre, even young quarterbacks settle into a pretty easy early rhythm against the Colts. And I thought DeForest Buckner, going back to him, but he set the tone early on in that game with a couple of big plays that just wrecked Carolina drives early on. So, again, you got to string some together. Patriots defense or Patriots offense you're going to see on Sunday. They're struggling as well. If you can do that, maybe you do get to December and January and start to play some meaningful football.
Colts offense had quarterback Gardner Minshew, not the quarterback you expected when you saw this matchup at the beginning of the season with Anthony Richardson versus Bryce Young, but Gardner Minshew. His stats didn't jump off the page, Kevin, but he managed a win. How do you evaluate his play against the Panthers?
Yeah, it was one of those games where you felt like the only way Carolina would really have a legit shot is if you created a turnover and allowed them to have kind of a short field. Now, special teams-wise, the Colts almost had those. But, the big Minshew turnover days we've seen earlier this season, he did not have that. Having said that, though, Angela, you can't live with the type of performance that Minshew had overall. The offense, I thought, had their worst day of the season. That pass right there to Drew Ogletree is really the only lengthy ball down the field that Minshew completed all day long. And just in general, when Josh Downs, the rookie wideout, went out early, it was a very struggling day for the offense. So, again, if you're going to talk about this team stringing wins together, 3 or 4 in a row, the offensive product we saw yesterday cannot be the norm.
More complimentary football, as head coach Shane Steichen said today in his press conference. Kevin, thank you so much. Our Wish TV insider. Colts are heading to Germany. We're going to talk much more about them coming up at 6.